My name is Nicole, and I'm a 34-year-old hairdresser. I've been honing my skills as the chief stylist at the salon owned by my husband Michael, who's just a few years older than me. Our story began through a mutual connection, and I was instantly drawn to Michael's warm and approachable demeanor. 4 years ago, we sealed our bond in marriage. However, there's a significant player in our lives. My husband's mother, Victoria. Divorced during Michael's junior high years, she proudly raised him single-handedly. While I admire her strength, Victoria's unwavering belief in her authority over Michael's life can be suffocating. When we tied the knot, she insisted on asserting her opinions on everything from the wedding arrangements to our choice of honeymoon destination and even the decor of our new home. I had my own dreams for our special moments like the wedding ceremony and honeymoon, not to mention our future abroad. Yet whenever I dared to voice my desires, Victoria swiftly shut them down. Even Michael's attempts to mediate were met with her firm assertion of dominance, often accompanied by the reminder of her role as his mother. It's like tossing pearls before swine, as the saying goes. You don't need such an extravagant wedding dress. Honestly, if you're behaving like this now, I shudder to think about our future together. What kind of upbringing did your parents give you? With those words, she not only dismissed my preferences but also insulted my parents. It left me anxious about what lay ahead. My parents, ever the voice of reason, suggested, take a moment to reconsider. I'm deeply sorry for my mother's intrusion. Her behavior was uncalled for, but I am committed to building a happy family with Nicole. I'll do whatever it takes. Please will you bless our union? Michael's apology was sincere, and in that moment, both my parents and I felt assured that he would stand by me in the years to come, and so we decided to proceed with the marriage. From the wedding ceremony to our new home, every decision was dictated by my mother-in-law's preferences. At home, my own mother advised, sometimes it's best to concede now for a better future. I understand you're trying to maintain harmony with your mother-in-law, but by yielding now, you're actually positioning yourself to collect on her debt in the future, leveraging her advice. Reluctantly, I acquiesced, but now, 4 years later, I rue that decision more deeply than the ocean and loftier than the mountains. Michael, can we discuss something about work? I have a junior chamber meeting tonight. Yesterday was a shopping district gathering, and today's another meeting. Last week was filled with dinners and social events. When do we have time to sit down and talk? Isn't every event part of your business? I'm not criticizing. You sound like you're complaining. Now that we have 3 stores, it's only logical that we discuss various aspects of management, isn't it? I've entrusted everything regarding the stores to you, Nicole. Your one commendable trait, without any formal education or prestigious family background, is your talent as a hairdresser. Thus, it's only natural for you to focus on boosting sales, right? So, why do you act like you need my input? Doesn't that seem odd? Here we go again. 4 years have passed since we launched our hair salon business from scratch. With the successful opening of our 3rd store and plans for a 4th by year-end, it's a significant milestone. However, as our business expands and Michael garners praise as a young entrepreneur, he increasingly regards me with disdain. I can handle him commenting on my education and background, but his constant belittling, criticizing everything from my appearance to my fashion sense, and even comparing me to rival stylists is just too much. What's worse, if I have to postpone a task he's asked for or don't respond to his messages right away, he gives me the silent treatment. During these times, he stays out late, disregards the meals I've prepared, and ostentatiously opts for takeout or convenience store sandwiches and coffee. He spends more time at his mother's place, even taking baths there. At first, I didn't know how to break through his silence. I kept cooking and preparing everything as if he would come home hungry and tired, even though I knew he wouldn't. I'd stay up late, anxiously waiting for him to return, uncertain of when he'd be back. Meanwhile, my mother-in-law would launch her verbal attacks. I always knew you weren't good enough for Michael, but I never imagined you'd be this incompetent. Why is he ignoring me? What have you done? Do you really have no idea? It's unbelievable. Are you mad at me for something I did? If Michael told you something, please tell me. It's pointless to talk to someone who's clueless about their own flaws, isn't it? With a laugh, she leaves me without an answer, after enduring his silent treatment for a while, just when I'm about to lose my patience. I'm home. Oh, I'm starving. What's on the menu tonight? He strolls in casually, as if nothing had happened earlier. I'm relieved he's speaking to me, but deep down, I dread being ignored again. Unconsciously, I find myself bending over backward to please Michael, catering to his every mood. It wasn't until Rebecca, a new stylist who joined the company this spring, pointed it out to me one day that I realized the extent of it all. That particular day, Michael was, as usual, ignoring me, skipping meals, and remaining silent. Not wanting the food I had prepared to go to waste, I packed his leftovers into a lunchbox and brought it to the store. While I was eating it for lunch, Rebecca approached me. "Hey, Nicole, did you make that lunchbox yourself?" Yeah. It's just some leftovers from yesterday, though. I don't mean to pry into personal matters, especially as a newcomer, but do you realize that Michael seems to be controlling you? What do you mean by control? What are you getting at? I might be overstepping, but isn't Michael completely ignoring you right now? Yeah, he is. I had a feeling something was off. I noticed him chatting and laughing with everyone else in the staff room but completely ignoring you. And that incident where he rudely brushed off your hand when nobody was looking, it was clear as day. And then there's that lunchbox, filled with just grilled mackerel and meat and potatoes. It's obvious you just packed last night's dinner leftovers, right? It's a far cry from your usual colorful, well-balanced lunches. After Rebecca's observations, memories of my mother's similar experiences flooded back. She went through the same ordeal before divorcing my biological father. Hearing Rebecca's story, I learned that her parents split during her freshman year of high school, with her father often subjecting her mother to the same silent treatment as Michael. It all began with trivial things, gradually escalating until it seemed like a switch had been flipped, and he completely shut her out. My mother endured countless tears. I see. In time, she began seeking my father's approval in everything, her once bright smile turning submissive. It was agonizing to witness. Rebecca explained that Michael's silent treatment was a tactic to control me, leaving me worried and insecure while he maintained a position of dominance, smirking all the while. Think about it. In a healthy relationship, if your partner is upset, you'd be concerned and hurt too. But people like Michael, they actually relish in seeing their partner distressed and vulnerable. It's sickening. After Rebecca's candid insight, I found myself losing the urge to panic as I once did, even amidst Michael's moodiness and his habit of ignoring me or my mother-in-law's persistent prodding. Instead, viewing the situation through that lens, I began to see only Michael's immaturity, his overwhelming self-centeredness, and my mother-in-law's unrelenting malice, with no attempts to rein him in. But it seemed they didn't appreciate my newfound perspective. The chilling silence from both Michael and my mother-in-law gradually became routine. He scarcely came home anymore, and when he did, he'd seclude himself in his room. He stopped appearing at both the store and the company, leaving me to handle everything alone. Then, on a day like any other, a rare day off for the store, I decided to thoroughly clean our house for the first time in ages. Usually I relied on the Roomba and Brava, but with the pleasant weather, I figured I'd tackle every nook and cranny for a change. Lost in thought, I began wiping the windows while my favorite music played from my smartphone. That's when Michael and my mother-in-law silently entered the house, unlocking the door with a click as they settled onto the living room sofa. As my husband and mother-in-law sat there, I decided to quickly brew some tea. What an inconsiderate wife you are. But can't we bid farewell to this type of wife soon? It'll be a breath of fresh air. That's what they remarked as I reluctantly prepared the tea and set it on the sofa table, feeling bewildered. You see, Michael is expecting a child now, so it's time for you to step aside and make a swift exit. We'll give you a grace period of about 2 weeks to vacate this apartment. And naturally, you'll need to resign from your job as well, without any severance pay, of course. That's what they declared. Michael is having a child? Does that mean he's been unfaithful? And I'm being asked to leave. I'm losing my job with no severance pay either. Though we were in a silent standoff as a couple, my mind raced with questions upon hearing this sudden news, struggling to process it all. The next wife will be quite different from you. She hails from a wealthy family, graduated from a prestigious women's college, and then trained in the beauty capital, Paris. You simply can't compete with her, so it's best to accept it now. She's 3 months pregnant, and I'm eager to provide her with security as my wife soon. Indeed, I'm looking forward to it. Without a doubt, a wonderful child will be born. They uttered whatever they please. So, if she's 3 months pregnant, does that mean the child is a product of infidelity? Yeah, and? Emily and I just met in the wrong order. We were truly connected by the red thread of fate. So, you want me to leave because you want to marry your supposed soulmate now? That's been the gist of it. You're a bit slow on the uptake. As I watched Michael and my mother-in-law's nonchalant demeanor, a headache began to throb at my temples. Finally, I mustered the strength to request some time alone to contemplate, asking them to leave. It seems it takes time to grasp things with a scattered mind like yours. We understand, they replied before retreating to my mother-in-law's quarters. Left alone, I found myself unable to resume cleaning and instead sank onto the floor. Yet amidst the dimness, I noticed my smartphone's screen illuminating with an incoming call. It was from Rebecca. Rebecca. Oh, Nicole, are you at home right now? Yeah, I am. With my brief response, Rebecca announced she was on her way over and promptly ended the call. About half an hour later, Rebecca arrived, her hands full with bulging eco bags. Sorry for barging in. I grabbed some random food and drinks for us, she announced cheerfully. After excusing herself to wash her hands, she swiftly arranged the deli food she brought onto the table. She fetched glasses from the kitchen, poured some craft beer, her newfound favorite, and declared, "Let's dig in before it gets cold," while handing me a spoon. Following her lead, I began to eat, savoring the fluffy omelette rice that filled my mouth. Tasty, isn't it? This place makes fantastic omelette rice, she remarked with a bright smile. I've brought a variety of things, so please take your time and enjoy them. It dawned on me that I had only had coffee and bread for breakfast, hardly constituting a proper meal. Despite being emotionally numb until then, hunger gnawed at me. It was a realization that struck me for the first time. We ate in silence for a while, and as we began to sip our beer, Rebecca brought up the safety group email from the boss, mentioning my departure from the store at the end of the month. I confided in her about my mother-in-law and Michael's demand for a divorce, followed by my decision to resign from the store. Rebecca fell silent for a moment upon hearing my response, but then she looked me straight in the eyes and asked, "What do you want, Nicole? I mean, what do you truly desire? Not what they dictate you should do. It's your life, Nicole. You're the one who decides which path to take. You should steer towards what you want." Those words from Rebecca brought an unexpected clarity to my heart. Let's get a divorce. There's not a single reason why I should remain with Michael and his family. I want a divorce. I want to start afresh, I replied resolutely. Michael had given me a 10-day grace period, but once I set my plans in motion, everything proceeded smoothly. With few personal belongings, I swiftly packed them into boxes provided by the moving company. I entrusted Rebecca with handling my belongings at the store, preferring not to face Michael until everything was settled. Simultaneously, I engaged a lawyer recommended by an acquaintance to draft documents demanding alimony and property division from Michael. After several property viewings, I signed a contract for a new place. Once the move was complete, I had the lawyer send documents to my mother-in-law. Shortly after the letter arrived, my inbox flooded with line messages and emails from both my mother-in-law and Michael. Deciding to address matters formally, I proposed a meeting at the lawyer's office. As I waited at the lawyer's office, my mother-in-law, Michael, and a young woman entered, all wearing smug smiles. When the lawyer inquired about the woman's identity, my mother-in-law spoke up, introducing her as Emily, who would soon become Michael's wife after our divorce. They appeared delighted. Unfazed, I simply asked if they would agree to our demands. Without hesitation, they agreed, viewing it as severance payment. "Consider it compensation for your future," Michael added kindly. They handed over the specified amount in cash, sealed in a bank envelope. I completed my section of the divorce papers, stamped them, and handed them over, bringing the process to an end. As we parted ways, I made it clear that I would not assist them in any way in the future, no matter what happened. "So, this is your last desperate plea." Okay, get it, you're upset. No need for the sarcasm," Emily retorted before they all exited the office, laughing. These days, I'm thriving as a top stylist at a bustling salon in the city center. Rebecca, who's been by my side since last month, is the same Rebecca who helped me see the truth during that crucial moment at the lawyer's office. I wasted no time in finding a new job, leveraging my past accolades and online recognition to secure a position swiftly. Thanks to this, I can live comfortably without relying on the consolation money or property division. Plus, I've started seeing someone I met at a joint training session with the sister store of my current workplace. Each day feels remarkably liberating and stress-free. So, When's the next date? Hey, don't tease your elders. Rebecca stayed on at Michael's salon for a while after I left. Ultimately, I convinced her to quit immediately. My decision was twofold: to safeguard Rebecca's reputation as a newcomer, avoiding any perception of impatience or lack of cooperation, and to shield her from any potential targeting by Michael and his mother, knowing she was still my friend. Reluctantly, Rebecca remained at the salon, and from what she's told me, the aftermath of Michael, his mother, and Emily was akin to a roller coaster drama. Emily strutted into the salon after my divorce, brimming with confidence as the new top stylist and field manager, but her reign was short-lived, lasting only a single day. The male staff member who had previously worked under me turned out to be Emily's classmate. Unaware of this, Emily made a grand entrance at the salon, accompanied by Michael, boasting about her Parisian training. "Wow, Emily, I thought you must be some extraordinary talent since you claim to have returned from Paris. But here you are," Thomas remarked. Thomas, what are you doing here?" Emily asked, taken aback. "I could ask you the same. I'm genuinely surprised. You were always struggling with the written tests, constantly getting reprimanded by the teacher. How did you, Emily, who barely made it through, end up in Paris?" "That's not true, is it?" "Don't make up stories, Thomas," Emily countered defensively. Well, don't you need a French hairstylist license to work in Paris? When did you suddenly become fluent in French like a native speaker?" Thomas persisted. "Well, I studied at university, didn't I?" "University? Wow," Emily replied, somewhat flustered. The Emily who once claimed to struggle with English during elective French conversations at beauty school found her disguise completely unraveling. A heated argument ensued between Emily, Michael, and Emily's mother-in-law, who rushed onto the scene. Things escalated, leading to a call to the police. The ensuing chaos prompted staff members to leave one by one, draining the salon of its vitality. Customers began to trickle away, and soon, the business hit rock bottom. Forced to shut down 2 of their stores, they attempted to salvage what they could at the original location, but it was too little too late. Last month, they were forced to close down completely. That must have been incredibly challenging. It was, but because of that, I was able to present my departure from the company as due to business circumstances, making the job interview process here much smoother. I'm glad we're working together again, but why did you choose this salon? Naturally, it's to learn directly from Nicole's expertise. Got it. I'll make sure to train you thoroughly. Sometime after Rebecca changed jobs, a letter arrived from Michael and his mother, delivered through the lawyer handling our divorce. It seemed they had no other means to reach me after I severed all communication, and even my parents staunchly refused contact. The letter droned on about how they had been duped by Emily, revealing that she wasn't pregnant after all, and that her entire background was fabricated. Emily had absconded with everything valuable, leaving Thomas in the lurch shortly after they lost the salon and the apartment they had used as collateral. The letter concluded with a plea for my help, painting me as their only hope in their time of need. After skimming through the letter, I promptly called the lawyer who had passed it on to me. "Please just let them know I'm not interested. There's no need to relay any more messages from them." And so, as Rebecca had assured me before, my life, charted in the direction I desired, was flourishing. I vowed never to allow another man to dictate my fate.